Hey everybody, it's Amanda. Today we're going to be discussing the Boolean data type, which is going to result in either a true or false. So 1 is going to be for true and 0 is going to be false. This is a basic rundown of the program. Let me go ahead and run it just so you can see it. So it's going to result in false because 6 is not greater than 8. So as you can see, we took our Boolean variables and we assigned is true and Boolean is false. We're going to go through the if statement and do the comparison. Is 6 greater than 8? No, it's not. So this is not true. And it will go through the else statement, which will display our 0. If you've been watching my videos, you've already seen that I've brought Booleans into play. However, I haven't really discussed what they are in full detail, so I'm going to discuss that in this video. If you haven't already looked at the standard library, I encourage you to look at the standard library as well as headers. Anything inside brackets is usually a standard header. Just so you know, going down to our main program, again, we're going to be discussing Booleans today. So our Boolean data type is going to result in a true or false. To declare my Boolean, I start with my keyword bool. To declare my data type, followed by my variable name. And my variable name, I use true. I'm going to show you here though. So if I try to use true, this is why I'm going to tell you to look up correct ways to name variables. As you can see, I've read squiggly lines. This is because true is a keyword, and you cannot use a keyword as a variable name. Let's go ahead and delete our keyword. As you can see, I added some notes here. I'm going to start with is true. I'm going to hard code a result in my Boolean. So is true is going to be assigned true. And my next Boolean variable is going to be assigned false. And I can go ahead and move this over. This is not the syntax of the program. This is an example of style preference. However, it's easier to read. In my example, I use 2 integer variables. So I'll assign this 4, assign them to 5, and then I'll use a different if comparison because our numbers are different. So if num2 is greater than num1, our result will be true. And if it's false, it will result in false. We're using, as you can see, our variables that we declared up here to display the result of our if statement. And we can see what's inside memory. So as we run our program, I'm going to run it. And we get 1, which is true, and that's because it's true. The reason why it's true is because num2, as you see, is assigned 5, and num1 is assigned 4. Therefore, when it goes through the if statement, is num2 greater than num1? Yes, it is, because it's 5 is greater than 4. Then the result displays true. If we were going to reverse this and start with num1 is greater than num2, our result is going to display false now. So let's run the program, and our result is false. If you've watched my previous videos, then you know I've used Booleans with relational operators as well as equality operators to do comparisons for integers. That's another thing to keep in mind. when you're doing comparisons, not all comparisons are going to be used depending on the data type that's used. That's just something to keep in the back of your mind for right now. I'm going to show you a different way how to use Booleans with inside a local scope. Right now it is in a local scope inside of our main. However, I'm going to change the scope, even though that these variables are still local. They're not going to be assigned anything until I get to my if statement. So once I get to my if statement, I'm going to assign is true, which is a keyword, and then I will display it below. And then here I'm going to assign is false is equivalent to false. And let's go ahead and run the program. As you can see, the result is false because we didn't change our if statement. So is 4 greater than 5? No, it's not. So it comes down to the else statement and it results in false. If we change the comparison, it would change to true since 5 is greater than 4. And we get 1. Another thing to keep in mind when assigning local variables to nothing is that you have to know where the scope starts and it stops. So the local scope in this case is going to start here and end here. Inside of the if statement, it will start here, end here, start here, end here, based off the comparison. However, as you can see, is true is not assigned anything, but our result is 1 when we display it. If we are going to assign is true, false, and then display is true down here. As you can see, we're going to get a 1 and a 0, and that is because our scope only exists inside of this if statement. Our variable is assigned true in this statement. However, it only exists inside of this scope. If this was not true, then it would not go through this if statement. It would go through the else statement, and then it would see that is false is assigned false, and it would display false. We can run our program and show you that. So is num1 greater than num2? No, it's not, because it's 4 in comparison to 5. As you can see, our result is now false, false. As always, I created some terms to look up and some notes for my video about the brackets. YouTube's not going to let me add the brackets in my notes, just a heads up. Just some things about variable names if you're not familiar with how to correctly name variables, as well as know that variable names cannot contain keywords, nor will your program allow you to do that. Also, in my comparison video for relational and equality operators, I use integers. If you don't know, there is another type of comparison needed when using strings and possibly doubles if needed. It's called the Epsilon comparison. Also, to look up Boolean, 1 is true, 0 is false, and a bool is a keyword. These were a very basic example. If you like this video, though, please subscribe, like, and share. If you have any feedback, let me know. As you can see, just as a reminder, as again, for our local scope, it wasn't great for us to be able to declare our is true variable as false down here, but that's also something to keep in the back of your head as a programmer. It's our fault that it is assigned false. It's not the computer's fault. Thanks for your time. I hope everybody has a great night, and thanks again.